And I'm just curious how would you compartmentalize a healthy relationship with anxiety versus an unhealthy one? And with regard to high performers, how do they typically, how would they typically surf this interesting emotion, if at all?
Okay, so let's get some definitions in place and then we'll get to some insights or maybe some tactics even. Is that anxiety, from when you ask a psychologist, like that's a very clinical term and it's a quote unquote mental disorder. Let's destigmatize that a little bit. It's a disordered way of using your mind. It's just, what does disorder mean? It's just maladaptive. It's something that is actually hurting rather than helping. And if you haven't been trained in the mind, well, okay, then, like, what do you expect it to do? And so some people are born with a predisposition for anxiety, and some people have earned it, and so when we talk about how do you earn it, it's the way you speak to yourself. So let's talk about like the definition one more time. It's a pervasive, excessive, ruminating worry about what could go wrong. It's a thought pattern about all the things that could happen later that could be disastrous, that could go not according to plan. Mm-hmm. And so there's two ways people feel it. They feel it in their body. So that's called somatic anxiety. And then if it's just as a pervasive thought pattern, then it's cognitive anxiety. And you can have cognitive and or somatic. You can have a combined or one or the other. And again, all humans have anxiousness. Some people have little brief moments of anxiety. It can be really intense and it can be just under the threshold. But if it's pervasive for an extended period of time, then we're creeping into that place where it's like maladaptive for wellness and life well-being, and so that's where it goes from more of a trait into something that is more transitionary, like a state. So if you've got, let's go back, to the way you're describing it, Conrad, which is it's facilitative for you. Cool, right? Okay, great. If like a little bit of like, hey, this might not work out now. And so that is a forcing function to help you get into the present moment and be on time with the present moment. That's awesome. Okay. I'm not saying that that's great, but if you're figuring out how to make it work for you, then okay, there might be an upgrade somewhere in there, but if you're using the word anxiety for intensity, then let's kind of like play with this a little bit. Intensity is like this. Okay, let's roll right now. I got to be all in. This is important to me. Here we go. And you're bringing that level of intensity as opposed to this pervasive, man, it might not work out. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how. Yeah. So there's a difference between anxiety and intensity.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the nomenclature that I was getting mixed up. It's almost like right before you walk out into the stadium for a game. It's
you like the pressure.
Well, yeah, and I feel like to the right degree, and I've always assumed I've always interpreted that as anxiety, but you're saying it's intensity.
Well, yeah. So excitement can be a third thing to sort out as well. So anxiety, again, is this pervasive worry that it's going to not work out. It's going to go wrong. Intensity is like, I got to be here now. Let's roll, right? And there's kind of an edge to it in that respect. And it's like that sweet space between calm and focused, right? There's an energetic thing that we're talking about. And I'm not using energetic like woo-woo. I'm saying like there's a focused intensity in there.
Yeah.
And then there's excited. So excitement and anxiety, worry, and what's another corollary for excitement? Like a buzz that you get.
Enthusiasm
for.
Yeah. There's just a few chemical differences. And there's just a little bit more cortisol in anxiety than there is, we think, at least in excitement. And it really is just like it's a thin space between the two. And the difference often is the way you're interpreting the future or interpreting the signals from your body. For example, if you feel butterflies and you say, oh, there I am again, I'm nervous. There I am, man, I get anxious so easily. Well, you're going to drive yourself down that kind of anxiety path. Right. But if you feel butterflies and you say, and this is the mechanical part, like the engineering mind is like, oh, that means my body's trying to switch on because something important's about to happen. Cool. Then it's like, yeah. Then you get to make a decision like, do I want to feel that way now? no, it's actually a little early. I'm just eating breakfast and I'm not going to be on stage for another 4 hours.
Right.
I don't need this level of activation right now.
Give me
Then you
these
can do some
Cheerios.
strategy. Yeah, right. So then you can back it down with some breathing and some different ways to think about it. But it depends on how you interpret those sensations.